About 25 years ago, there was a war.
A word about the Mad King.
The Mad King.
He burned men alive with wildfire and laughed as they screamed.
Some Stormlord revolted against the Iron Throne.
My brother Robert Baratheon had raised the banners of Storm's End against the Mad King Aerys.
Rebellion. The crimes of House Targaryen were too heinous to go unanswered. The noble houses of Baratheon, Stark, and Arryn united to oppose and overthrow the line of the cursed Dragon Kings. While Ned Stark and Arryn secured an alliance with the Tullys of Riverrun, I called the banners of Storm's End and rode out in force against the Mad King and his minions. Gods, those were some battles. Our first victory occurred at Summerhall, where I faced off against an army of dragon loyalists and won 3 battles in a single day. 3 in one day. 3 in one day. 7 hells, that was a glorious day. We tried to take Ashford Castle in the Reach, but the Tyrells beat us back. We had to regroup.
It was the hardest choice I've ever made. My brother or my king. Blood or honor. Aerys ruled by right of all the laws in Westeros. Even Robert's own lords were against him. Everyone knew the price of defiance. But there are deeper, older laws. The younger brother bows before the elder. I followed Robert. Early in the war, Mace Tyrell's indecisive victory at Ashford cut Robert off from Storm's End.
You're Samuel Tarly.
I am, Your Grace.
Your father's Randall Tarly. Defeated my brother at the Battle of Ashford. Only battle Robert ever lost. I told him he shouldn't go so far west so soon, but he never listened.
Instead of pursuing Robert and risking his record, Mace Tyrell turned east and laid siege to our home. His vast army and navy encircled us and prevented any resupply by land or sea. If a wagon tried to reach us, it was burnt. If a ship tried to land, it was sunk. We were locked in Storm's End to starve, but Robert commanded me to hold the castle no matter the cost.
My army was pursued north by Aerys' army and took refuge in the Stony Sept in the Riverlands. When the Targaryen army entered the town, the Sept bells tolled, a signal to the townspeople of the battle that was to come. As the Targaryens searched from house to house for me, the combined forces of Ned Stark and the Tullys swept into the city. Gods, what a day that was. It's now known as the Battle of the Bells. We overwhelmed the Mad King's forces and sent them scampering back to King's Landing. Aerys' son, Rhaegar, who started the whole damn thing, finally emerged from hiding in the south and assembled his own army to face us. As for the Mad King, he must have been pissing himself. The battle that would decide the fate of the Seven Kingdoms occurred at the crossing of the Green Fork of the Trident River. Rhaegar commanded the royal host, which was some 40,000 strong. My forces were outnumbered by nearly 5,000 men. But that didn't matter. They were fresh, but we were battle-hardened and had justice on our side. As the battle raged around us, I faced off with Rhaegar, the stag and the dragon right there in the ford of the river. I fought with the fury of 10 men, raining blow after blow upon that vile prince before burying my warhammer in his chest. I hit him so hard the rubies on his armor broke free, flinging them into the stream. Gods, I was strong then. They call it the Ruby Ford now. With that scum Rhaegar dead and the royal army shattered, our next move was to make for King's Landing. But I'd sustained a few wounds in the battle and was unable to ride. I sent Ned Stark to the capital to face the Mad King and make him pay for his crimes.
Rhaegar Targaryen lay dead on the banks of the Trident. The days of the Dragon Kings were clearly numbered. Until that moment, it would have been foolish to commit Casterly Rock to either the Crown or the Rebellion. King Aerys had been sending ravens for months, begging for my support to end the uprising. In a way, his pleas had been answered. I, Tywin Lannister, brought 10,000 Lannister troops to the gates of King's Landing. As I had suspected, Aerys opened the city gates and welcomed my men.
For our rebellion to succeed, King's Landing had to be taken forcefully. No one was foolish enough to believe that Aerys was going to hand his crown over peacefully. The Mad King's reign needed to end. What Tywin Lannister's forces did was unfortunate, but it was necessary to secure the Iron Throne and bring peace and justice to the Seven Kingdoms. Had I been able to ride, perhaps I could have reached King's Landing sooner and prevented some of the violence that occurred when the Lannisters entered the city. Burn them all! Still, what Lord Tywin did was for the greater good. Even what happened to Princess Elia and her children.
Who gave you the order? Who gave you the order?
Babies or no, theirs was the same cursed blood that flowed within the Mad King's veins. They were dragon spawn and couldn't be allowed to survive. What would they grow to be? Loyal subjects. Ned with his damn northern honor. He and I had our first major fight over the deaths of the Targaryen children. Ned called it murder. Murder, it was war. It was war. Lord Stark demanded that the Lannisters be held responsible for their crimes. I wouldn't and still won't blame Tywin. Instead, I sent Ned Stark south to finish off the remaining Targaryen loyalists.
Robert and Ned Stark, the glorious rebels, marching from battle to battle, liberating towns from the yoke of the Mad King. We were forgotten.
While Robert smashed Rhaegar on the trident, my men ate the dogs because the horses had already been devoured.
I do like dogs. Good animals, loyal, but we ate them.
While the Lannisters sacked King's Landing, we ate the rats.
Stannis was still holding the castle. Nobody cared. I had seen what famine does, and I thought of all those men in Storm's End who would die unmourned and forgotten. I knew I'd be captured by the Tyrell galleys or drowned, but I was too stubborn. I steered my cargo through the treacherous currents and snarls of rock that gave Shipbreaker Bay its name.
If the smuggler Davos had not slipped through the Tyrell blockade with his onions, we'd have eaten our own dead. But I held the castle until Lord Eddard remembered us and marched to lift the siege.
For my salvation at Storm's End, I was to be granted a knighthood, a keep of my own, and my son taken into Stannis' personal service. Davos of Flea Bottom had become Sir Davos of House Seaworth, and his son would serve the king's own brother.
On the one hand, I gave him land, and on the other hand, I cut off his fingers.
You were a hero and a smuggler. Robert dispatched me to deal with the last surviving Targaryen children. But before I arrived, a loyal knight smuggled them across the narrow sea to safety. Robert was furious. He stripped me of Storm's End and gave it to that fool Renly, my younger brother. I could keep Dragonstone.
I looked for you on the trident. The Mad King is dead. Rhaegar lies beneath the ground. Why weren't you there to protect your prince?
Our prince wanted us here.
Where's my sister?
I wish you good fortune in the wars to come.
No.
Ned.
Lyanna.
Is Aegon Targaryen. You have to protect him. Promise me, Ned. Promise me.